All right, let's take a look at page 62, Evaluating Polynomials. So here, we're basically just going to plug things in. We're going to substitute the value every time we see the variable, the x or the y. So for example, like say, evaluate negative 3x cubed minus 2x squared when x equals negative 2. Okay, so I'm just going to write out negative 3, and I have my x, which I'll replace with negative 2. That's cubed, I'm just getting this from here, minus 2. Instead of an x, I'm going to write negative 2 again, squared. Now I just have to evaluate this. Order of operations, right? So negative 2 cubed is negative 8. We've got an odd number of negatives. Negative 8 in here. Negative 2 squared is positive 4 because the negative is squared. Negative 2 times negative 2. This is minus 2 times 4. Negative 3 times negative 8. Two negatives multiplied together make a positive. 24 minus 8 gives us 16. What if x is 3? Go ahead, copy this down again, but instead of negative 2, you're putting in 3. See what you get. And then you can also try x equals negative 1. So just take a moment to fill those two in. I'll go ahead, I'll give you the answer to B, just so you can check your work. Feel free to pause if you don't want to hear it quite yet. It is negative 99. And then once you have this method down, you can work through C. Okay, let's keep going. Let's look at more than one type of variable now. So we have evaluate for x squared y minus 2xy squared plus x minus 7. So lots of things going on, and I'm going to say that x equals 3, y equals negative 1. Okay, let's see what we get. So I'm just copying this down again. I'm going to leave space everywhere I have an x or a y. It's probably better to do this as you go. I'll do that the next time. So I'm just copying down everything except my x's and my y's. Now my x is 3, so I'll plug in 3 here for the x, plug in 3 here for the x, plug in 3 here for the x, and then for my y, I plug that in here, so times negative 1, times negative 1, and that's it. Now I just have order of operations. Exponents first, right? Because we don't really have anything going on inside parentheses. So this is 4 times 9, 3 squared, times negative 1. Notice that sometimes I use a multiplication dot, sometimes I use parentheses. They mean the same thing. It's just a little more clear. If I had put a multiplication dot and then minus 1, it would be hard to tell that we're multiplying by negative 1 instead of subtracting 1. Okay, so minus 2 times 3 times negative 1 squared. We're squaring that whole thing. Think about what it should be. Yeah, just a 1. Plus 3 minus 7. Now I'm going to do my multiplications. 4 times 9 times negative 1 is negative 36. Minus 6 plus 3 minus 7. Notice that order of operations says I have to do these in order. If I do 3 minus 7 first, or if I do 6 plus 3 first, for example, if I start with the addition, I'm going to get the wrong answer. We'll see that in a moment. So let's do it the right way. Negative 36 minus 6 is negative 42. Makes it more negative. Negative 42 plus 3, we get a little closer to 0. Now we are subtracting again. So we're going further from the 0. We get negative 46. Now, if I did 6 plus 3 first, if I added first, because PEMDAS, the A comes before the S, I would get 9. Negative 36 minus 9 is negative 45. Minus 7 more is negative 52. I would have gotten the wrong answer. So order of operations is super important here. For B, we have x equals negative 1 and y equals negative 2. Go ahead and plug those in. I like to have parentheses around everything so that I don't get anything confused with my minus sign. So notice that I had parentheses even here. They're not really needed, but it just reminds me that if I plug in a negative, I'm not going to write it as plus minus 1. Right, I'm going to write it with parentheses around it. So take a moment for that. Feel free to pause. I'll give you the answer just so you can check your work. Minus 8. And then get another example in here. Example 2. Evaluate 2x cubed minus xy squared plus 6 when x equals negative 2, y equals 5. Okay, so I promised you I'd do them in kind of a more normal order this time. Let's do that. So I have 2. I'm going to use red for my x. 2 times negative 2 cubed minus, there's an x again, so a negative 2 again, times y, and we said y was 5. I'll use green for my y. Don't forget that squared, and then plus 6. Oops. Again, exponents first. I have 2 times negative 8 plus, right, because we've got a negative and a negative, 2 times 5 squared. Remember, order of operations says I need to square the 5 first, so I get 25 times 2 gives me 50, 2 quarters. Then our plus 6 goes along, so negative 16 plus 50 plus 6. Negative 16 plus 50 is 34, plus 6 gives me 40. And I'll give you one to do. For B, x is negative 4, y equals negative 3. Go ahead and try that one out. When you're done with those, take a look at worksheets, pages 111 to 112.